Hello and thanks for staying with us on your channel of choice, Africa Independent Television AIT, and welcome to the Signature Show. I am Nwabwozi Njoku. Now this Sunday, our focus will be on mass burial of victims of our church massacre, the failure of the Buhari government, rescue of 2 kidnapped Chibok girls, sex, arson, and murder as weapons of religious fundamentalists in Nigeria, a challenge to Islamic theologians and intellectuals. Nigeria's weeping families. How can we address the situation? We have an interview with kidnap victims of the Bethel Baptist School in Kaduna. Father Mbaka Tunde Bakare as symbols of putting God up for sale. How has materialism and crave for power overtaken Nigeria? The emergence of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, BAT, as APC presidential candidate. Hope for growth of political parties in Nigeria. Corruption Tory icon breaks down, weeps as she gets reward for integrity. Plus, our thank you segment would brings you another sweeper. It is a most entertaining prospect, isn't it? Just stay with us. When the issues matter and the need to know matters.
The chief of staff of Nigeria couldn't go to his village because it was being occupied by Boko Haram.
Politicians and political parties have massively used money to buy votes and to change the course of electoral direction.
You will also remember the very APC itself set up a Rufai committee recommending restructuring doesn't mean anything. Go back to federalism.
Or the fun and the fair to relieve everyday care.
Life is a riddle, my son. The land bled when Uvorawen was put in shackles. Heaven wept when Saruwiwa was laid to rest.
Everything comes with the Judge Tufoni. Everything comes with who I am.
The Signature Show, your show that matters, on AIT every Sunday at 2 p.m. The sense of hurt and the unspoken question, what has life come to in Nigeria, were very palpable in the air last Friday as the people, the government, and the church in Ondo State gave mass burial to victims of the June 5th massacre in the Catholic Church in Owo. It was a mark of a civilized people standing together against demented barbarians, that the Ondo community did not erupt into violence as the victims were being lowered into mass grave. The conduct of our people was also a damning question to the Buhari government. When will you redeem your promise of a secure Nigeria? Tears flowed. The sighs from the community members were heavy, and I wonder if the people were really comforted by the priest who officiated the burial mass.
On a visit to the church with innocent blood still spattered on the floor and walls of the sanctuary, I could almost hear the victims as they were attacked right inside the church during mass. I could almost hear them cry out like Jesus Christ, my God, why have you forsaken me? May that desecration of the sanctuary, the desecration of the body of Christ, and that crime committed against humanity expressed in their lament and cries, may it never go unpunished. And thus we are battered, but we are not crushed. As our deceased brothers and sisters lay here, there are almost 75 others who sustained different degrees of injuries in the same incident. Among the dead is an aged 85-year-old Bridget Ozulumba, as well as young people and children like Chukwemeka Emmanuel Njoku, who was 2 years old, and Matilda Obobade, who was only 3. None of the dead or the injured did anything wrong except that they came to worship God at the foot of the cross and at the foot of the altar on that day. There, sudden death was inflicted upon them, and deep sorrow upon the dear ones they have left behind. These our dear friends and brothers and sisters died right at the foot of the cross. What a pity! Yet, what good fortune! For as the Christian religion teaches us, my dear friends, we must always lay our troubles and sorrows down at the foot of the cross. We know that they are dead, but we also know that they are safe in the arms of Jesus Christ.
President Muhammadu Buhari has condemned the mass murder in our Catholic Church. And the security agencies have pledged to hunt down the murderers. But those who spilled the blood of the over 40 innocent worshippers in our are still at large. The people will be right to say that the Buhari government has betrayed their trust, failing them in the most critical need of protection of lives and property. But that's a national issue. Last week, we brought you a special report on AK-47 rifle for sale. The open market for AK-47 in Nigeria has given birth to Nigeria's weeping families, which is the subject of this special interview with some victims of the Bethel Baptist College, Kaduna, kidnap. The interview was conducted by correspondent Marvelous Obomanu.
That experience has made a lot of impacts in my life, because the freedom I have back then, the way I see things has really changed. Because I don't feel free, like I don't feel free in the environment. Anytime I'm working, I'm always thinking about something can just happen. Because when that thing happened, nobody expected it. Nobody was thinking that something like this was going to happen. All of a sudden, it just happened. So that thing is always disturbing me, and it's also boost my faith, because I did not believe that I would have been able to leave that place, because they did not release me, rather I escaped. So it was not easy. I have to stay in that bush for 6 days before I was able to escape. So everything that happened, the experience was very bad. It has made a lot of impact in my life. The kidnappers asked us to cut leaves, because we do sleep on leaves on the ground. So when we were cutting those leaves, then I told those boys, those my juniors, I say, okay, we'll be cutting these leaves, and when we are cutting this leaf, we'll be cutting it and we'll be going inside. And that's how we did. And when we got far, we just stayed there. We lie down on the floor, we stayed there. Then when they went back, then we started going. We slept there the first day. It was heavy rainfall. We could not even sleep that night. We were just standing under trees. We finished, we trek. We were just trekking. We don't know where we were going to. To some extent, we even see some Fulani men inside the bush. They are in their cattle. Then we'll ask them for direction. They'll show us. We'll still follow the direction. I will still get lost again. We met those kidnappers on the road, but on other different people. Then by that time, that was when I saw God. Because they have removed their cutlass already. They said they were going to kill us there. That why are we following their road? That is against their road. Why are we following their road? That they're going to kill us. Then all of a sudden, somebody just came and started holding the man that he should not kill us. That why is he going to kill us? What do we do to him? Then I say they should leave us, that we should go. We started trekking. We got to one village near refinery. Then one village where all these baggy people that reside at that place. It was them that called one of my junior's parents that were close by. That's how they came and picked us and they brought us back to school. Even yesterday, I dreamt about that. I dreamt about one time when we were in that place and I could not sleep because my mind is just telling me that they will just come out, they'll just come out. That's I'm not feeling safe. I'm feeling insecure. Like yesterday, I could not even sleep because I was just thinking about that thing. The time that those guys wanted to kill us, I was just the thing was just I'm not just free, and the way I see people, the society, the people I know, that's the people I talk to. If I don't know you, I don't talk to you. Anytime I just sit down, that thought just keeps on coming. That these people are coming, they will come and catch me. In the night, anytime I'm sleeping, most especially when the rain is falling, I do remember. It always remember me about the time I was in that place, because while we were there, there were a lot of rainfalls, heavy rainfall. So it always remember me about that place, and I don't just know. I always have that feeling that they will catch me, so I'm not free.
That night, around after 1, I think, that's when they attacked. They came out, they wore the soldiers' uniform and said that they were soldiers, that we should come with them. That's how they took us out of the school through the fence. They broke the fence and we went at the backyard of the school. I felt as if there was no hope because when they took us from school and when we were going to the camp, there was some these things keep ringing in my mind that most of us are going to die, they're going to kill most of us. I was like having this feeling like as if I would be among them, the ones that are going to die. So I felt at that point it was just life at that point was terrible. When we first got to the camp, they sat us down. So this thing came to our mind that maybe before a week we will be released, but after a week nothing happened. From a week to months to another month. Before the other month actually, some sets were released. There was 23 set of people were released, but I was not among. So it was after 2 months, 2 weeks, that was released. That was supposed to be after 1 week would be released. When the 1 week came and passed, I was depressed and I was not having this kind of I was not thinking about home again. All I was thinking like, if the time comes for me to go, I will go. But at this point, I shouldn't think about home. I will just be there for now. Just live my life. Whenever I sit down to think, the experience just coming to me. Like when I see something just happen, I'll just reflect back to the time that I was there and what was happening there. Whenever rain is falling, I always think about that place, and some kind of occasions like that, I always think about the place. After everything, I was too scared to go out. It's kind of indoor for some while. Whenever I'm traveling, I don't feel safe. I always thinking that, what if they come out from somewhere, from nowhere, and just attack?
I'm not a direct victim, but I'm an indirect victim because my uncle was a victim. He was just in his house sleeping when some men with gun entered his house. And then when they entered the house, they were shooting. And then he went out. When he went out, they were asking him that who is Oga Fenu. Now he told them he was the one, but they didn't believe because they never knew him. In fact, they never knew him, so they didn't believe he was the one. And he's small in stature. So maybe because of the explanation that those that sent them gave to them, they were thinking he was truly a very big man. So he insisted that he was the one until they saw his son and then asked him the same question. The son told them he was the one. They went away with my uncle and then the wife's sister. After 2 to 3 days, they called her, I said, and then they demanded for ransom. And then the amount they asked for was 10 million naira, that they need 10 million naira from him. And that he should call his relatives, he should talk to his relatives because they were beating him while in captivity. So they asked him to call his relatives and then tell them to sell all the farm property, all the lands. The community have to go to the extent of taxing every member of the community just to see that we raise money. So at the end of the day, an amount of money was raised, even though it was not up to that amount. What they even told us was that if the family makes any mistake of going to either the police station or even SSS to report, that they are going to get the information because they have people. Some people were already giving up that it's possible that they are even killed him, and yes, they want to collect money. So everybody was worried. We were all worried. Both the children and every member of the family was worried. And as I also said, financially we were worried.
Whenever we enter our bedroom to sleep, nobody sleep. All of us, because we'll be thinking, so what is really happening in that bush now? And one terrible thing that happened that time, it was a rainy season that time, July, rainy season. So whenever rain is falling, sir, if you're a parent, you wake up and sit down. You must wake up from your bed and you will sit down because your mindset will be saying, so my child is on this rain now. And that was what happened, sir. So we could not sleep. We are trying to wake it up, sir, but the truth is that it touched our hearts and it affected us in some parts of our lives because I was finding it so hard to even send my child to boarding school anymore. I nearly broke down. As a father, I nearly broke down. My wife was a little bit stronger than me because I am too close to the children. It took us 2 months plus, 2 months, 2 weeks before my son was released. And within that time, I have to get myself busy. I don't want to sit down quiet like this, and immediately when I sat quiet like this, some terrible thoughts will be coming to my mind. Whenever people come to consult us, or they will come and tell us, don't lose hope, don't lose hope. After 1 week, don't lose hope. After 1 month, don't lose hope. After 2 months, I was just looking at it as if it was a dream.
We are watching a signature show on AIT. Now, last week, we called out Pastor Tunde Bakare, who began at his later Rain Assembly in Lagos, moved to one exotic global name, and wanted to step up as Nigeria's president. We called him out because he lied, a Christian priest using the name of God and the pulpit. First, by saying that the Igbo in Nigeria are cursed. Then he lied again in his ambition to access political power, that the Holy Spirit spoke to him to run for Nigeria's presidency, and that he was stepping up. He failed at the APC presidential primary election, where he scored 0 votes. God does not lie, and therefore Tunde Bakare simply attempted to make God a political marketplace merchandise, and he failed.
The time is now, and the hour has come. Tonight, I'm not here to step down for anyone. I respect all aspirants, and I've said wonderful things about them, including Asiwaju Bola Tinubu. But I am here by the grace of God to step up with the support of the delegates as the 16th President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
And again, last week, a famous religious merchandiser and gambler, Father Ejike Mbaka, said that P2B could not be Nigeria's president because he is stingy. He had attempted unsuccessfully to blackmail P2B to openly make a donation to his ministry. Now, he is putting God up in a bazaar of spiritual pronouncements. His vision is for political power, from which he expects material reward, the way he prophesied for Buhari and whimpered when he could not gain access to Buhari to get his material reward. But the question is, how did these Bakaris ambush and steal all our attention and trust? I think it is time these money changers in the synagogue are chased out so that we can enjoy a measure of sanity and know where we are headed.
Flowmusic.com. I don't believe in pride or to share money for pride. I don't depend on prophecy. I just pray to my God. Always believe in trying and to say the truth and lie. Always do my best and leave the rest to God. My fellow Nigerians, Sinji presidency. I tell you, it's better than those that will steal and waste our currency. God, I'm back and you know, Sinji presidency. I tell you, it's better than those that will steal and waste our currency.
This is the signature show on AIT. Now, something almost slipped past the prying eyes of some of us in the media. Because of the intense politicking that preceded the ruling APC presidential primary in Abuja, all we in the media have focused on has been the person of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who emerged as the winner. The interest has been the money and the intrigues, but we seem to be overlooking the process that threw up Tinubu. Now, as much as President Muhammadu Buhari has said that he had a preferred candidate to succeed him, it was apparent that he allowed interest groups to clash, neutralize one another, and throw up a candidate. Contrast this with what went on at the state level. David Umahi, governor of Ebonyi State, lost his presidential bid, returned to Abakaliki, and grabbed his younger brother to hand a senatorial ticket to him. He got it. Godswill Akpabio also traded his presidential ambition in a gamble that hoped to have a Tinubu presidency. He went back to Akwa Ibom, trying to wrestle a senatorial ticket from a man who had it in his pocket. Aminu Tambuwal traded his presidential ambition, and now he has his senatorial ticket right in his breast pocket. Now, let's go back. Obasanjo handpicked Yar'Adua and made sure he became president. I think in the APC presidential primary election, Muhammadu Buhari acted in a manner that gives hope that democracy, which is free choice and not imposition or snatching, has a chance in Nigeria after all. This is the subject of our special report, anchored by correspondent Nasir Usman.
Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the Jagaban and bullion van master, a politician whose style does not get quite bothered if deploying roughnecks and rude boys get the job done, is the ruling All Progressives Congress APC's candidate in the 2023 presidential election. Tinubu's emergence as APC candidate is drawing ad knocks from opposition party elements and grumblings within APC. Nobody, however, can over-criticize how Tinubu emerged, no matter the murmurs about the use of money to procure stepping down of some candidates.
And I also that as I withdraw now, vote for Asiwaju Ahmed Tinubu.
Accord me the respect to offer the support you are giving me to my elder brother, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Mrs. Uju Kennedy Ohanenye, that I should step aside for that lifesaver and the best candidate, who is Asiwaju Bola Tinubu.
This is to certify that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, having scored the highest number of votes cast, is hereby declared winner.
To understand the issue at stake, it is needful to look at the struggle between Senate President Ahmed Lawal, who reportedly decamped the opposition PDP on Friday, and Bashir Sharif Machina, who secured the senatorial ticket for Yobe North Senatorial District. Lawan wanted to get back the Senate ticket, which he left to pursue a presidential ambition. The machinery of the party in Yobe State had almost manipulated its own process to earn back the senatorial ticket to Lawan. The party met a brick wall in Bashir Sharif Machina, who swore to hold tight to his mandates.
Sadly, since the return of democracy, we are battling with major important tenet of democracy, which is to have credible, free, fair election, and also to struggle to have a vibrant political parties that are based on focus, ideology, and that will be built on accountability mechanism. This had continued to undermine public participation in the electoral process because the political parties, many of them, are not democratic. Internet democracy is very, very poor. Accountability is also very, very poor. And this is the platform that you will use, at least by our constitution. It has to be done through political party. You cannot contest election in Nigeria as an independent candidate. So if political party remains the only platform in which people could participate in the electoral process to elect people they wish to have as their representative, and if that platform is not built on a very sound democratic and accountable foundation, then it becomes a difficult thing to actualize proper democracy or democratic choice of Nigerians.
The scenario, however, is different in Ebonyi, Bauchi, and Sokoto states. The governors of this state tried their hand on a presidential ticket of their parties by the time they were done, but failed, and the senatorial and governorship primaries of their parties had been concluded. They went back to manipulate the democratic process to get back the tickets.
In a lot of states, delegates were not properly elected. In a lot of states, people won and their mandate taken away from them. I mean, you hear scandalous things like somebody goes to run for president or run for an office, he loses that one, he jumps down to a smaller one, and in most cases, they take it. I mean, there's a lot of brigandage, there's a lot of political recklessness, and it's unfortunate for our democracy. You know, people look from outside, they think that Nigeria is growing democratically. But we are retrogressing.
This is where we get it wrong. And the reason why we get it wrong is because, you see, politics in our climate has been inundated with monetization. We see politics as the last resort. It is one of the most lucrative ventures as far as we are concerned. So everybody wants to go into it regardless of what commitment you're making or what pact you're signing with the devil. You just go, because you go there, you amass wealth, and you go your way. And so because of a lack of responsiveness and accountability to the electorate, it has become a venture for everybody to just go, and it's a bazaar, free for all. Everybody goes, takes whatever he wants to take, and he leaves the space.
In the case of Tinubu, however, President Muhammadu Buhari, though, expressed interest in the emergence of a particular candidate to succeed him, resisted the pressure to manipulate the process, not even when the national chairman of APC, Abdullahi Adamu, announced Lawal as a consensus candidate, which was supposed to have been an endorsement of the president. Was Buhari persuaded to interfere in the process? The APC as a party will benefit subsequently from Buhari's adherence to and insistence on due process.
The president can stay in Abuja and say the kind of things he has said without knowing that those at the grassroots are doing a different thing. You know, for instance, in my own case, I bought my form for 10 million naira. I went for screening. I was cleared. I participated in the primaries. I won the election. All the evidence of winning that election is there. But you have two powerful individuals from my state who are leaders in our party. Our Deputy National Chairman, Imo Enugu, and the chairman of my party in the state, Chief Ugabala, denying me that mandate just because they can, just because they are powerful. And then when this happens, you put it side by side with what the president said, a party he leads. So it's really unfortunate. And it's a lot of brigandage, a lot of injustice. And that is why you hear about thuggery, people are being killed because of elections. Because people's rights have been trampled upon with impunity. And the party is not doing anything about it.
It is a known phenomenon in politics around the world. You cannot devote or divorce democracy from elitism, which is what we basically call godfatherism in this climb. But the extent to which these godfathers and elites make their mark, make their impact, dictate to the political class is what varies from one society to another. Of course, in the Nigerian context, you find that godfatherism plays a very significant role, and it shouldn't be the case. But with the move of the president in the just concluded APC primaries, it goes to tell you that we're perhaps beginning to imbibe the culture of disengaging ourselves from holding on to certain godfathers or certain individuals to dictate the direction of our political affairs. We're seeing that play out within the internal party mechanisms, right? The mechanisms are beginning to show themselves as tools that are going to be used to curb this kind of occurrences. But taking it out of politics entirely will not be possible.
If political parties respect the example that Buhari has shown, the resort to the court to determine who is a candidate of parties in election would be minimized, and growth of a political parties as institution for selecting political leadership can be dependent on. In Abuja, Nasiru Usman for Signature Show.
Well, the emotion last week was infectious when our sister program Corruption Story presented to Mrs. Modesta Fobike bank documents for funds realized to rehabilitate her collapsed business. Now, you remember Modesta Fobike, that woman from New Karu in Nasarawa State, who returned a huge sum of money a customer had forgotten in her restaurant bar. She was honored by Corruption Story for her act of honesty and integrity. But soon she herself fell into hard times. Correspondent Marvelous Ubomanu relieves the event of last week.
They give me money, I don't chop the money, only me. I said they don't give me anything in this last sister, they spent everybody. No. They said I give me, I said to everybody was mending me now. I said to where the money there?
Weep if it relieves or even elevates your spirit. Let the tears flow if they run down your cheeks because of a deep sense of joy and happiness. These declarations capture what transpired last Wednesday when anti-corruption icon Mrs. Modesta Ofobike visited the offices of Signature Communications Limited, producers of the television program Corruption Story.
Madam, please.
Oh my God,
Madam, no. Please stand up, stand up. Madam, it's okay. It's okay, please. Please,
that you start to bring this money, God go bless everybody. God will protect you and our family. God will see you and through your children.
It's okay, just stand up. Stand up, please, madam, please.
Thank you.
Hey, please, madam, please. Oh, madam, please. Please.
The story of Mrs. Modesta Fobike is a testimonial to integrity and strength of character. In 2021, Modesta had won the prestigious Anti-Corruption Icon Award, a recognition by corruption Tory for not converting a large sum of money forgotten in her business premises by a man and his wife, but returned the amount whole and entire.
Some people came to jollificate in her restaurant. After jollificating, they were so happy that they forgot all their money in the place and went home. How much did they forget in your restaurant?
60,000.
60,000 naira. And if you have been to Modesta's restaurant, you will know that she needs that money to uplift her restaurant. But she said no and started looking for those people and returned that money intact. Yes, 60,000 is not 1 million, but if you steal 60,000, you can steal 1 billion. So we are presenting this to you, Modesta Ofobike, in recognition of your anti-corruption efforts. And we are doing this on behalf of MacArthur Foundation, our supporters, Signature Television, and our program, Corruption Tory.
But soon after Modesta received the award, her business collapsed because she could not afford rent for her shops and one-room residential accommodation. She withdrew her children from school and returned to her village. The signature show brought her story to the public attention because her circumstance was about to send the wrong message that our society does not care about integrity.
A woman who has shown such fortitude, such uprightness, such sincerity, such monumental integrity should be able to be helped in order to encourage and motivate other citizens. As the person representing her, do my best to encourage her, to ensure that perdition is alleviated.
Indeed, the Deputy Minority Leader in the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Toby Okechukwu, weighed in to support the rehabilitation of Modesta Ofobike.
On behalf of my constituents and my family, my wife, I'm happy to support her, to try to rediscover her bearing, to get her bearing with the sum of 500,000 naira.
On behalf of Corruption Tory, on behalf of Signature Television, on behalf of our supporters, MacArthur Foundation, and our representative, Honorable Toby Okechukwu, who is also the Deputy Minority Leader of Nigeria's House of Representatives, we make this donation of 500,000 naira.
Last Wednesday, Signature Communications Limited, producers of Corruption Tory, which is supported by the MacArthur Foundation, announced more donation and a promise to push her case to more Nigerians who wish to support the fight against corruption by rewarding integrity.
Signature Communications and Mr. Ofobike opened a joint account in Enugu, where we put that 500,000 naira. And then we continued to talk to Nigerians, and I must say that what happened was not encouraging at all. People wrote letters, sent us texts, oh, wonderful woman, oh, we need more people like her. But no Nigerian sent 1 naira. So
at the end of the day, we said we can't let her continue just staying at home.
Sure.
If it's 500,000 that we have, we should make it available to her. But we also sat as a team and said that we task each one of us, members of Signature. We deducted money from everybody, and as an organization, we added 250,000 to her 500,000. Because Nigerians were not answering, and we felt that for what she had done, we can't just, so we taxed ourselves, and we were able to raise 250,000. And I must thank my colleagues for that sacrifice.
The handing over of the banking documents for money realized, which was done by the country director, MacArthur Foundation, Dr. Kole Shetima, and Chief Executive Officer of Signature Communications Limited, V. Martin Obiora Ilo, opened the floodgates of gratitude and the emotion which her situation had locked in her spirit.
On behalf of MacArthur Foundation and Signature Communications, we are giving you this letter. It's addressed to the manager of United Bank for Africa and Independence Layout. When you present this, we will remove all our names and have this account totally in your care and in your management. And what we have in this account is 750,000 naira.
God will protect your family. God will see you and rest your children.
It's okay, just stand up. Stand up, please.
The country director of MacArthur Foundation, who had a word of advice from Mrs. Ofobike, also spoke on the need for Nigerians to recognize and appreciate honesty.
Always very difficult for people who are in a very difficult position to not be tempted by what she has seen. But God works in various ways and in various miraculous ways as well. So we thank you very much for all that you have shown and for all that you are doing. And of course also for the Signature team for recognizing that this is a very important thing and to give her the opportunity to start her life. And I'm sure that God will bless the money that have been collected, and I'm sure it will multiply and multiply. And I'm sure you'll be much more better with that. I think this is very important recognition that we need to have some safety net for people. Otherwise, people will not stick their neck out for good things if they feel that the consequences of doing that will be disastrous.
Mrs. Ofobike and one of her friends expressed their gratitude and spoke of their resolve to push incorruptible character in their dealings.
I don't expect all this from me. Look at me, I don't have anything. Look at the kind of money where they carry give me. Jesus, I feel very good. I encourage everybody to do good. Even if you have the little one that you have, use it and help people, or do something that this God will never leave you and He will reward you later. God will bless them and God will reward them. And then they continue to do good for people. God will never put them to shame, and their family and their children.
I'll tell them that to do good is good, to do bad is not good. When you do good, even people go down, your reward is still in heaven. Almighty, you reward them one by one. They will not lack. When we visit them according to their high desire. Before you do it, do that one, meet my sister. God will multiply it back for them in 100 folds.
Modesta's story confirms what the greatest boxer of all time, Muhammad Ali, once said: "It is not all win that determines a man of character, but to be down on the canvas and still rise to defeat your circumstance." Marvelous Oboman for Signature Show.
Now, meanwhile, the Nasarawa State Commissioner of Police, Adesina Shoyemi, gave approval to us for the conferment of 2 awards on DSP Michael Boku, an officer under the new Nyanya Division, who neither permits nor accepts bribe. DSP Michael Boku, who is in charge of a police station, also does not allow the payment for bail. Last week, Tuesday, it was conferred with 2 prestigious awards of anti-corruption icon and anti-corruption ambassador by our sister program, Corruption Story. Again, correspondent Marvelous Obomano reports.
A police officer with the Nasarawa State Police Command, DSP Mike Oboku, was on Tuesday conferred with the prestigious award of Anti-Corruption Icon. The award, which was given to him by anti-corruption television program Corruption Story, also made him become an anti-corruption ambassador. One of his colleagues, retired police officer ASP Elias Danjuma, went over the fence on the occasion when he said he would not hesitate to make a marriage proposal to DSP Mike Oboku, a serving police officer. The snag, he said, was that DSP Mike Oboku is a man and his marriage offer cannot work.
Mike Oboku is a different person. That in the issue of corrupt now is zero. Mark is a good man. In fact, if I'm a woman, I'll say I'll marry him.
DSP Mike Oboku was identified by community leaders, trade associations and transport unions in the New Karu area of Nasarawa State as an officer who does not take or tolerate taking bribes in his police post. He was also said not to have a habit of detaining people or keeping them too long in the detention facility. The police slogan, "Don't pay for bail," is said to be part of his leadership operation.
I'm feeling very happy over it because I never knew that it resulted to this. So I'm very happy over it. Oh, no, I'm not different from others. It's something good. You see, the problem is that I don't have much comment to make. Only we give thanks to God for placing me in this position. And this award, I only dedicated it to my DPO and my staff. That is all I have to say. It will encourage me to do more.
The Chief Operating Officer of Signature Communications Limited, Chief Nwabweze Njoko, said the essence of the award was to encourage more civil servants to reject corruption and show integrity in the discharge of their duties.
Every year, we must identify one Nigerian in public service, in important service, where there's a lot of temptation and still the person resists doing the wrong things. Before we found you, I didn't know you. It was community people, these market women, all these pharmacy people. Say, give us a policeman whom you think. That's the first I got to know you. So it is your activity and the image you are making for the police, not for yourself, that made us come here today. We work with Makato Foundation of USA. They are our partners and sponsors. And that is why, on behalf of Makato Foundation and Signature TV, we are going to give you 2 honors this morning.
On behalf of Corruption Story, with support of Makato Foundation, representing this to you, in recognition of the outstanding efforts in the fight against corruption in Nigeria.
You are no longer just yourself, and you don't understand what we are saying. You get to understand, because when your counterparts in US are going through the profile of Nigeria police, they are going to have a copy of this. That is why we also make you an anti-corruption ambassador. It means much to us. It also means much to our partners. Congratulations.
At the New Karu Police Division, friends and colleagues of DSP Mike Oboku gathered to witness the ceremony, which, according to them, have not happened in the history of the division. They thanked the Nasarawa Commissioner of Police, Adesina Soyemi, for permitting the historic awards to the police officer.
DSP Mike Akubo is a very nice man, a kind of man that listens to people, to solve their problem, to entertain them. Time of issues, you bring complaint, he will listen to you very well and he will solve the problem.
He's a very nice man. He don't get into by staying with him, my interaction and my observation. He don't get into bribing. If he's handling a case, he do justice to that. He don't take bribe.
If you want to know if there are good police officers in the force who reject bribes or who are not corrupt, then you need not search any longer. Always remember DSP Mike Oboku, who was honored by corruption Tory. His story and the encomium by his friends and colleagues are a proof that you cannot dispute, especially when there is a lack of trust between the public and government institutions. The award will only help to boost public confidence in the Nigerian police force and government in general. In Abuja, Marvelous Obomman for the Signature Show.
Now, last Thursday, a court sentenced two drug traffickers, Chibunna Umeibe and Emeka Ezenwanne, to 2 years in jail. Both convicts were arrested at the Akanu Ibiam Airport in Enugu by the police. They entered the plea bargain with the NDLA that prosecuted them, and that secured for them light sentence. But questions remain unanswered. Who owns the drugs the men were moving? Who arrested both men? And how do they enter into a plea bargain with NDLA? Who allowed them pass through the NDLA checkpoint at the Akanu Ibiam Airport? There are questions, and we'll address those questions next Sunday in a close-up on corruption in the NDLA drug war. Please be sure to join us. And now to our thank you for this Sunday. Two young boys, Jimo Olotu and Umeofa Ogene, grew up in the ghetto of Ajegule in Lagos, Nigeria. The two boys got caught in the Galala music dance that was running in Ajegule. Well, they tried their hands in their leisure time, but leisure doesn't put meat on the table. And so Jimo and Umeofa drove the Lagos yellow bus called Danfo to make ends meet until they were discovered by Cornerstone Music, under whose label they released a monster, a total sweeper. I am a Danfo driver, sure.
Anytime you brother make you wetter. Oh, Oju Elegba, my sister make you wetter. I am a double driver, Yawa. Should you be double driver advice? Na double driver.
Now, Downfall Driver was used as soundtrack for the Hollywood movie Fat Girls. Now, for rising from grass to grace and creating a music anthem that swept everything aside, our thanks go to Jimo and Omeafa this Sunday, who go by the exotic names Mountain Black and Mad Melon. And I want to thank you for investing your time with us this Sunday as we draw the curtain on this edition of the Signature Show. I'm Wabus Njoko. Good afternoon.